about Gyokeres and how, if you remember, when I posed, Martinelli is ahead or behind, however you want, or in front of the defenders. Look at where Gyokeres is. This is what I'm talking about. This is what he has to bring in his game. Pose. That's Gyokeres. There's no way right now that the defender should catch you.
But what should he do though, Thierry? There, so
that first touch,
because he's trying to bend his run to stay
obviously,
on
you're going to say he's going to be on side. But what I'm trying to say is when that ball's going to be played, please roll it. Now, pause. Go back a tiny bit. Stop. That ball has to go here.
Across the defender.
There's no way that those guys should catch you if you take care of the ball properly. He's going to have 2 chances to do it. He won't do it. He doesn't even look at what's happening. He's praying. They are praying. But that first touch is not going to be good. Roll it. Second touch, pause again. Look at, go back. Sorry. Look at how he's gonna go like this.
Is that a confidence thing or technical thing?
Yes. Look, we all know that he's been scoring, but away from home, that has to be a goal. Martinelli made it a goal. And he didn't have the space that he had. And obviously, he didn't take the ball well here, nor there. Let it go. Next thing you know, pause. Go back. Here, there is no way, from what we saw from the halfway line, that you're going to put your hand on me to make sure that I'm not going to unleash and have a 1v1. He should have had a 1v1. You miss, but you should have had a 1v1.
So if Arsenal want to win the Champions League, they need to do this a lot better.
Hopefully it will happen. I'm just saying the difference being going 1-0 up and still staying 0-0. You have to win something. And I said it so many times. If you talk about what has been done recently, finishing second never gave you a trophy. It's great, but at one point you got to validate what you're doing. I still believe, and I will say it again, that it is possible. But this year, you cannot go back and talk about injuries, which that they are happening, like they are happening in other clubs also. You look at Paris Saint-Germain, they're struggling also with injuries through, what happened in international duties and a bit before. But you have to bring something this year. No more excuses, no more nothing. You have the squad now. You have everything that you need to have in order to perform. And as a fan, obviously, I will support the team like I always do. But at one point also, you got to be honest. This year is a must. No more excuses.
Can I ask you a question? From a manager's point of view, you've been in the hot seat. Now for Arteta, of course, there's always going to be pressure on a manager.
Yeah.
But with the signings now, is it even more pressure that he's having to deal with because of the signings, or...?
Yeah, but that's the pressure that you want.
Okay.
If you can rotate like he did rotate, for example, against Nottingham Forest, and he will do it even more so during the season, understand me well. Don't go and say what I didn't say. I'm not talking about you. I'm not calling for anybody to not be there at the club. I'm just saying this year, you have to win something. Cannot hide, as a player, we did it with Arsenal also. My first year, my second year, my third year, we finished second. And then we won the double in 2002. I mean, not my first year. I wasn't there yet. Sorry, in 99, they finished second. Then my first year, my second year, we finished second. So that's 3 years in a row. When I came back from the summer, I was like, we have to win something this year, regardless of what it is.
I think a couple of years ago, we'd say Arsenal still need to win something. Now we're getting at that stage. But for me, I don't even think it's like the FA Cup. You want to win the FA Cup or another cup, it's nice. Arsenal have a squad now. When you look at their bench, and Thierry mentioned some of the players who are still missing, that's what you'd expect to see on Paris Saint-Germain's bench or Real Madrid when we've spoken about those clubs in the past. Arsenal have to go really, really closely. I mean, in terms of Mikel Arteta right now, we talk about spending, and Liverpool have spent a lot more this summer, no doubt. But in terms of a club, Arsenal don't sell well. They don't sell any players. Liverpool do, and Chelsea do as well. They bring a lot of money in to give them the chance to then go and spend big. Arsenal don't. So in terms of the top of his club, they have backed him to the hilt. They're just continually spending money to create this squad and this team, and they have to pay them back now.
So I'll ask you a question for you. I don't like to compare eras and go back to, because we're going to that. If I was in that dressing room, I'm aiming for the title.
Oh yeah, has to be.
Of course.
Now, again, but I'm not. as a fan, I would want my club to win something. If I was a player in that dressing room, I'm saying I'm going title first. That's what I want. But when you play for the title, you need to go and get it. Not play, not to lose games. And I've said that a long time ago. I'm not saying that since this year. I've been saying for a long time. If you want to beat Liverpool or Man City, you got to go and get it. You cannot enter a game by, let's not lose it. And this is not me saying that now. I said it before, long time ago. If you want to win the league, in my time, if we had to go and get Man United, you cannot just go, oh, let's see if we can draw this one.
Do you think they did that at Anfield this season?
But not only that happened so many times. I will go back to, I'm sure you will remember that game when we lost 2-0 against Aston Villa at home.
Trossard, who there was talk about potentially leaving in the summer, is a very good squad player for Arsenal. I know he won't like to hear that, but he always generally makes a difference coming off the bench, and did so again, digging that one out of his feet for a comfortable 2-0 win in the end. And I just always felt that it looked like a sort of match day one game to me. Arsenal gained, a little bit more control as the game went on. I always felt they had another gear or two, Arsenal, to be quite honest with you. Couldn't quite get Eze into the game. Thought Gyokeres made some decent runs in the first half, particularly down the left-hand channel. But again, the service to him isn't great. I think there was a cross from Huri and Timber in the first half that maybe he should have been a little bit more on his toes. He got there with the header, but he was on the stretch. But for Mikel Arteta, his job done. 2 great substitutions, 3 good points. They're not the strongest team, Athletic Club, but they're a decent side, so it was not an easy place to go. And I thought it was a decent performance at best from Arsenal, and it looked to me as if they just did enough to get over the line.
Subs making a difference tonight then, Robbo?
Well, it was a difficult game for them at the start because I thought Athletic Club started well. They were very aggressive. They played 4-4-2. They said they were going to press the ball. And the spare player was Merino in the midfield. But they never got the ball to him. And he's not the sort of player, if he does get the ball, that's going to open up defences with his passing. So it really worked for Athletic Club. They closed the ball down. They made it difficult. They were never going to open up Arsenal with clever football. It was about winning the ball back in good areas and playing from there. And as Craig just said, Arsenal, as the game wore on, they got more control of it. They found more space on the field. They kept on hitting big switches out to Madueke, and the substitutions were very good. They're not the substitutions you expect were going to change the game, but they did because Trossard, who we thought was going to play in the number 10 role, and Merino was going to play up front. It was the other way round. Merino came that little bit deeper, and Trossard played the centre forward, and Martinelli showed what good pace he's got. As Craig said, it wasn't a great performance, but it was good enough to be a competitive Athletic Club side.
Arteta won't care about the performance, surely. Getting off to a winning start.
No, Craig just mentioned decent. If you want to be even more optimistic and more positive, it's a mature performance from Arsenal in which they did what was necessary and what was asked of them in taking on what is a very hostile crowd and a crowd that is very emotional and high energy for their own club. But what needs to be said is that for Athletic Bilbao, when you see Nico Williams sitting on the stands, that's where the offense is. That's it. Everybody else just kind of hopefully maybe something they can create or get on the rebound or something. Iñaki Williams, as much hard work as he puts into whatever work he does in the final third, he just doesn't have the final product. Oyan Sanset gets himself in good positions, but not exactly a finisher. Berenguer got himself in a couple of positions, missed the opportunities. And there is nothing much more than that from Athletic Club. So if you're Arsenal, while it is a high-energy crowd and high-intensity crowd, if you just go in there and start knocking the ball around, which they did with some personality, with some maturity, then you just have to find enough productivity in the attack. And I think it's what they did. Enough productivity. Not explosive, not necessarily dynamic, but enough to win the game. I thought it was mature from Arsenal.
Would have been a bit of a disaster. Not a disaster, because they would go through it, Arsenal, you would imagine, even with the loss. And although it was at the tail end of last season, I just can't get out of my head that Arsenal couldn't go and beat a team that effectively was the favourite to win the Europa League and dumped out over 2 games by one of the worst Man United sides in living memory. And so I think that kind of puts it in context. Yeah, they got in the Champions League via the league position, and that wasn't the real Athletic Club in those 2 Man United games, but that's what they put out there. I know they had some injuries, but they couldn't beat them. And so when you're looking at Arsenal and you think, right, come on, You should go there, roll your sleeves up, do the basics. Why are you laughing?
No, just laughing there. Come on, roll your sleeves up. You've got to get this done.
No, but I mean, if you watch those 2 games against United last year, I mean, they weren't almost chucked out the club for losing to that bunch
First
of...
mention of United tonight.
Well, I honestly, sitting here last year, thought Athletic Club were going to go and win the Europa League, and should have done. They were the best team still in the competition, and they blew it big still. And that's why I think this competition this year, although Valverde's a very good manager, and what they do in the Basque Country with where they get their players, it's just amazing. But in the Champions League, I think it's going to be very limited. That was exposed last year against weaker teams, and I think it was exposed today against an Arsenal side that were probably in first and at best second gear.
Thierry Henry has delivered a blunt assessment of Arsenal's prospects this season, insisting that Mikel Arteta's side must deliver silverware to validate their progress. The former striker, who won 2 Premier League titles with the Gunners, warned that there can be no more excuses after years of near misses. Speaking after Arsenal's 2-0 Champions League victory over Athletic Club, and reported by Sky Sports, Henry highlighted the club's unprecedented squad depth. "Right now, I will say that nobody has a team as deep as Arsenal," he observed. "Some teams can match the starting 11, but Arsenal almost have 2 teams." With Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Kai Havertz all missing from the lineup, Arsenal still secured a comfortable win, underscoring the strength at Arteta's disposal. Yet Henry stressed that strength in numbers must be translated into tangible success. "This year, you cannot hide," he said. "You have to bring something. Finishing second doesn't give you a trophy. At some point you've got to validate what you're doing." While Henry acknowledged that injuries remain a reality, he argued Arsenal now have the resources to cope, unlike in previous seasons. Henry believes the title race will be contested between Arsenal and Liverpool, though he cautioned against discounting Manchester City. But he was unequivocal in his expectations. "If I was in that dressing room, I'm aiming for the title. As a player, I'm going for it first." His critique centered on Arsenal's approach in big games. "If you want to beat Liverpool or City, you cannot just play not to lose. You need to go and get it," adding that when he himself played for Arsenal, you had to go after the likes of Manchester United. You could play for a draw. Arsenal will next play Manchester City on Sunday, as they return to Premier League action.